My name is Ben Sorenson. I'm with Sorenson Automotive in Savage, Minnesota. Today I'm going to be making another video on how to rebuild a engine on Subaru. This is out of a 2007 Subaru Impreza 2.5 single overhead cam. We got all of our heads done, milled as you can see. Got our crankshaft all polished up. Luckily on this one it didn't throw a connecting rod or anything, so it polished up the standard, which is really good. That's what we hope for. So we'll be doing a complete engine rebuild on this. Got our new timing components and our water pump, head gaskets, all that. Use a Felpro triple multi-layered steel gasket on our rebuilds. So, a few things that you'll need: some brake cleaner, some ultra black, Honda Bond or 3 Bond works. You also need some lithium grease as well. So, got all that. On this one, we overboard the pistons on these guys. I'll show you that in a little bit when we install the pistons. These are our new pistons. Our connecting rods were all good. We got our piston pins here, our connecting rod bearings, and our piston clips here. So I'm going to put this camera on the stand here, and we'll see how this goes. But first thing is put the main bearings in the correct spots and put some grease on them. So we'll kind of clean up the mating surface a little bit. So I'll mount the camera and we'll get started on this engine rebuild. Take my crankshaft here, set this guy in. Sure that's all cleaned up. But actually what I want to do is I'm going to want to spray this down because it's probably coated. Until I get rust and stuff, clean that up. toss this bad boy in here. Make sure everything spins nice and freely, which it does. Get that grease in there. I think what I'll do is swap this over here. That way you can see me assemble a little bit better. Toss that guy right there. This bad boy right there. Got the block halves all good to go. Alright, I'm back to our video. So, what we want to do now is we got that crank in there and got all that in there. We're going to put our connecting rod bearings in. I mean our connecting rods. Start with this one right here. And it's very important to take note of the legacy sign that is going to be always facing forward towards the crank bolt here. Another thing that you want to make sure of is the connecting rods. The caps should all right here. You want to make sure that these are all the same. BDS, DS34, AGS, GS34, AHS, HS34, AES, ES34. So you always want to make sure the cap matches the rod and put them back in the correct order they were removed from. So the front one is going to be AES ES34. Got my rod bearings right here. These are from ITM engine components and make a pretty good bearing, and it's very reasonably priced. Always make sure when you're installing the bearing to match it up with the slotted tang in there, or else it's not going to seat right. You're going to have problems. Got my connecting rod right here. We're going to take some engine assembly lube, swipe some on the bearing on both the rod and the cap. Got that. We will install this bad boy. So the L needs to be facing forwards. This one I think I'm going to slide up the bottom so I don't screw anything up here. guy in there will hold this up. We'll go down here and install the cap. Make sure that those numbers on the side match up. Tap that down there. You want to apply some lubricant to the threads. Let's go ahead and install that guy. Install this one. We got that one. Now we're going to want to torque it down. The connecting rods on this one are 33.2. Go ahead. We'll just start off by going evenly each side. Gonna need a good torque wrench for that, so that one's all torqued down. Our second one, DS34. Bearings in there again, a little bit of grease, sides. Why do we put grease here? Engine assembly lube, because this is a brand new engine. There's no oil in the crankshaft, so in the crankcase, so when you start the vehicle for the first time, it's going to take a little bit of time for the oil pump to build pressure. And this is going to ensure that these bearings are lubed before the oil can make its way through the galleys in the crankshaft. Like I said, take note, make sure that these letters and numbers match up. Go evenly on both sides to make sure that we have equal pressure. good to go. Third one, AHS HS34. I've rebuilt tons of these engines, and I know by experience that if you don't put these caps in right, you're gonna have a bad day, and these engines are not cheap to rebuild at all. So just remember that. So this one I'm gonna slide this guy in there, back up. Cap on, lube there, lube around there. Torque these bad boys down. Get yourself a good torque wrench. You can I like the clickers. You could buy the one from Craftsman, but I don't know about those things. I got a Matco one right here. This one cost me about $350. But I like this wrench a lot. It's gotta like a wrench a lot to freaking spend $350 on it. But it lasts forever. Normally I'd plastic gauge these just to make sure that we have good clearance in here, but I have a really good machinist, and he takes care of all that for me. So last one, AGS GS34. That will be our last one. This is the first Subaru I've rebuilt where I did not have to grind the crank. It's pretty crazy. They polished up to standard. The reason why we're rebuilding this one is because the valve guy dropped out of the head, which I've never seen that before either on a Subaru, so that's pretty new for me. It's always good to deal with new things, yes. Alright, that. And we're going to take a short break. Alright, back at it. I had a phone call. Somebody wants to come out and buy this car because it's a car that we had purchased, so I make sure I'm available to take that call. Alright, torque down. Kind of curious. Yep, get it. All right. Hate those things touching like that. Ridiculous. All right, so now I'm just gonna go around. I'm gonna throw a little bit of lube just around these guys right here, the main bearings. I'm also gonna put some in the connecting rod and where the wrist pins go in here. Make sure those are all lubed up too. I'll do the other side. Alright, those are all tight. Awesome. So, I'm gonna go have some lunch, come back, and we'll put the go ahead and put the block halves together, and then we'll start installing the pistons. Right, so now what we're going to be doing is connecting the block halves together. Before we connect the block halves together, we're going to want to put some silicone on. You have to be very, very careful when putting the silicone on. You do not want to use a whole lot. The reason why you don't want to use a whole lot is because there's main bearings on this side of the block and main bearings on this side. If you put too much silicone in between the block halves, you could potentially cause excessive clearance between the main bearings. And then that would be really bad because you just have to rebuild the motor all over again. It's going to get squeaking and it's just going to be like not good. So You're probably going to need some destructions for this. It's very specific where it wants you to put this silicone, but I guess if you watch this video, you won't really need destructions. You'll just see where I laid the silicone, and you could look at it like that. So we'll just start. Around these bolt holes here, we're going to want to put some silicone really lightly. Doesn't need a whole lot. Just around these bolt holes, because we really don't want oil coming up through here. You're going to want to be fairly quick at this, because we don't want this stuff to set. And the reason why you don't want a whole lot is because you don't want it to potentially get into the main or rod bearings. That would not be good. A little bit goes a long ways. Also, it's a potential problem that it could go into the main bearing oil galleys. This one that I'm doing right now, I'll be very careful on. It sits so close to the oil galley. Kind of like to smooth it out with my finger a little bit. Both these ones on the back sit real close. Take this light out there. It's creating a little bit of heat. Don't want to heat that up too much. Oop, malfunction. Put those up like that. Now, alright. Had some malfunctions with the camera. I guess I wanted to die, so unfortunately I don't think I was able to show you guys putting the block heads together and tightening them down, but it's fairly simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install pistons. So first thing you want to do is move the crankshaft till where the connecting rod is at its lowest point. This one is not in yet. Just put this in here. So I'll pop this bad boy out. If I can get it out. Right. So we got that out. First things first is that you want to take your rings, your piston rings, and you're going to want to measure the ring gap and make any necessary adjustments. So like this is the second ring here. I'm going to put that in. What you're going to do is take your piston, put it in. Well, I already installed the oil rings on that, so I'll take a piston, put it in here, put it in a certain amount of ways, halfway, and we'll check it again. This spec for this oil ring is 0.37 millimeters. So I got it in there. There's a ring gap. You're gonna want to check that gap. Make sure it's good, because as the engine heats up, the oil rings expand, so you don't want them to break. So that feels pretty good. It's 0.37. I will push it down just a little farther, and we'll just double check in the bore here. Still feels very good, so I'll pop that guy out. That's my second ring. Do the same thing with primary ring. Put that in there. Go down. This is going to be 0.20 millimeters. That's where you want this one at. That feels wonderful. Pull it back. That feels good. I'm talking about ring gap. I'm talking about the space between the rings, the end gap at the closed position. When you put it in the cylinder, it goes together. So what we're doing is taking a feeler gauge and we're measuring the end gap of it. So the first ring, the primary ring, and the secondary compression ring have two different specifications. So with every ring before you install it on the piston, you want to put it in there like I just showed you, measure the end gap. If the end gap is too tight, you're going to want to take a piece of sandpaper or something and just shave down a little bit of the ring, and that is going to give us our spec. So I already got the oil rings in this piston. This is the right side of the block. It's important to note that this says R on it, and this dot, it has to be facing forward toward the crankshaft bolt. So what I'm going to do is install a secondary ring. Another thing to note is that these have markings on them. You want the markings to face up. You want to position both rings directly opposite from each other. If you have them towards each other, you're going to have problems with compression and blow-by. So every ring needs to be opposite from each other. Alright, so take a little bit of oil. I'm going to put some oil in the cylinder, just a little bit, smear it around in there, because we want our piston to slide in perfectly. Another thing to notice is that when installing the piston, I want to make sure that first you install the piston clips, the wrist pin clips, because they're a pain in the ass once you get it in there and you run the piston pin in there. You realize that you didn't put it in, you're going to be really irritated because you have to take it apart again and then drive the piston back in the bore. So that goes in here, flip it on this side. Put it in the hole. You want to take a screwdriver or whatever, pliers, and move it around, make sure that it's set. So we got our pistons all, first piston ready to go. So next I'm going to take my ring compressor. Also with that, you're going to want to take some lube or oil or whatever and lube it up. It's going to make it so much easier to slide in there. I got mine from Sears right here. Does a pretty good job. No issues. I like to take a little bit of oil, put it on the piston, on all the rings. Usually I use Lucas oil stabilizer because it's a little bit thicker. And I like Lucas products, so it's, I think it's, usually I add it to my main bearings and rod bearings too, with assembly lube sometimes, just to help start up, but just don't have any today. Got to order some. Adjust this thing the right size. So it's ready to be installed. So you want to make sure it's flush, that the expander or the compressor is flush with all that. Got it in there, and now what I'm going to do is just tap on this thing. Boom. Piston in. Tap it all the way down till we can see the wrist pin on this side. I wish I could show you every angle of everything that I'm doing, but it's really hard to do. do that on the next one. I'll just install the pistons and then maybe I can show you how to hook those up. Grab my crank bolt. Bottom that one out there. Alright, so like I said before, we're going to take our piston rings and measure our ring gap. So this is going to be our second ring. Put that in there. Grab our feeler gauges and we'll measure our end gap. That's not within spec, so I'm going to pull that guy back out. Like what I said, what I do is I take some sandpaper with this ring and I'll put it against the table and I will go like that to get some of that stuff out. Just want to do a little bit at a time. You don't want to take too much off. End up having to get a new ring or something because your end gap's all out of whack. Push that in there again. Not quite where I want it, so I'll do it just a little bit more. Back in there. Let me see if I can show you. Up to the top left, that's our ring gap. Can't really see. Shed a little bit more light on the subject here. So right there, that's our ring gap. Yeah, I got my hand in there, it just... So, to me, that was good. So, I think I showed you a little bit. So, right there, upper left, that's our ring gap. So that one was good to go. Pull that bad boy back out. Put our primary ring in. The same thing. This one's a different spec. That is A-OK. So this one we're going to want to put clip in for starters. Put it in there. Right there. Like I was saying before, make sure it turns in there, make sure it's properly seated. So we got that. Now, let's do our oil rings. I would take a little bit more time on this video, but man, I really got to get this freaking car done. It's supposed to be done yesterday, and since we had really cold weather, Monday and Tuesday it was like -50, and last week a lady came out and wanted to buy this vehicle, this Impreza. So they came out and I said it was going to be done on Wednesday. Well, Monday and Tuesday at the machine shop, the machinist was not able to make it in. So I got behind on this, and she backed out of the sale, but that's not a problem because I just found somebody else, so that's cool. And more money, which is absolutely fine with me. Everybody likes money. Alright, so what we're going to do here is take one of these oil rings and we're going to put it on that little dot right there. Line it up there. And we'll put this on the exact opposite side, 180 degrees away from that. Things can be kind of finicky. It's just so thin. I'm going to install a expander ring first. Alright. Now, what you're going to want to do is position the lower rail gap at position G, which is at 120 degrees from the upper rail gap position. So, that's the deal. That'll be like right here. it's always important not to put the rings, any of the rings, within the skirt area. Do not want to do that. So, we got our oil ring in, it's good. Good to go. We'll do our second ring. So now I did get all the pistons in. What we're gonna do now is that we are going to connect the pistons to the connecting rod. And this is the service port for this particular bore. As you can see in there, the connecting rod, you got to make sure it's up in there, and then what you're going to want to do is align it. And it's kind of tedious to align it, but once you get it lined up, it's fairly easy to push the piston pin in through the piston, but you have to make sure it's lined up. So I'm going to set this camera aside here and show you how I do this. It's too bad I don't have a cameraman or somebody who can get in here, but so it looks like I got to come down with the piston a little bit to align it to the connecting rod. So I'm going to tap this down here. And try to get it aligned. Alright. Looks like I have it somewhat aligned, so what I'll do here is put the piston pin in, and we'll see where we're at, how far we are. So here's the pin. They're floating wrist pins, so they just slide in and out. They're not like a Chevy pickup truck where you have to heat them up and pull them out. What you want to do is take some assembly lube, get it all on there, smear it, whatever, just get it coated. You're going to want to put it in there like that. See how it's kind of cockeyed right now? You're going to want to kind of get it squared up nice and even. Alright, I hope I have it in there, but we'll feel it if it touches the rod. I think I got it started. You can feel it kind of seat. The ends of these things are kind of, I guess, beveled a little bit, or chamfered, or whatever, kind of a little bit lower on the beginning part of the piston pin, so you can, it'll help get it started. So I think I got it in there. What I'm going to do then is just take a piece of whatever, extension or whatever, and try to tap it in there. Punch is, I guess, what you could use too. Get it all the way in there, and I did. It's good to go. So now what I'm going to do is take my piston, the wrist pin clip, get that in there. Like I said before, when you get it in there, spin it around, make sure it's seated. Last thing you want is that engine at 2,500 RPMs to throw that clip out of there and have that piston pin walk out of there. That would catch up on here and you'd have some catastrophic engine failure, that is for damn sure. So we are good to go on that side right there. Well, while I'm here, I might as well show you how to install the service plug. Want to make sure the threads are cleaned up real good, because what we're going to do is apply some silicone to that. We don't want that to be leaking or anything. Alright, so gonna So you want to clean those threads up around there, and you're also going to want to clean the threads up on the service port itself. I just use some ultra black to seal that. You can also use like Indian head. That works pretty good too. But I love ultra black. I won't use anything but ultra black. Ultra black, the bright stuff. 3 bond or Honda bond. I will never use like we get Felpro kits all the time, and they'll have like Felpro silicone. I will never use that stuff. It is junk. I don't know why they include it in the kits. I mean, it's alright, I guess, for like home use, like to seal a pipe or something, but for industrial applications, things like that, I would not recommend it. To install this, you're going to need a 14mm hex. You can get them at like Northern Tool or Snap-on. Northern Tool has them in a Titan kit. They're like 60 bucks or 50 bucks, I think, but they are worth it. You can also use them on like GM transmissions where they have the service kits that are real big. You can use them for a lot of things, but it's a size 14mm. I got slippery fingers, so it's kind of giving me a hard time. Alright, well, I'm just going to get my tool, because I know I can get it in there with that. This is the 14mm that you're going to use right there. it's good to go. You want it fairly tight. Don't do it to overdo it. You don't want to crack anything because that would really suck. So I'm going to flip this thing over. Oh man, that's freaking heavy for a little 4-banger. Alright, so that's the other one that we're going to be doing there. We're going to take a short break because I got a phone call. Alright, so last night we got the pistons in and all that. Piston pins, so that's all taken care of. Now we just need to seal this back portion up. I already sealed one of the access ports, so now what we're going to be doing is cleaning up this separator plate and putting that in. These metal ones, they updated them. I forgot what year, but they updated them to a metal one. They had some problems in the past with the plastic ones. There used to be plastic ones over there, and they would crack and then leak. So you'd either have to pull the transmission or the engine to fix them, stop the leak. So what we're going to do is just clean this up a little bit. You want to use a softer pad. You don't want to take a lot off, so you can take a razor blade first, clean all that up, and then use a soft pad on a whizzer wheel or whatever to clean the gasket up. I try to get most of the silicone out. The less silicone floating around, excess, the better, because you don't want that getting into your bearings or anything. Alright, so we got that cleaned up. And that's where it'll go on to there. So we'll go ahead and clean that mating surface up again on this, just real lightly. doing there is removing some of the debris that came off the block. I didn't want any of that. I should have probably used a softer pad, but I thought it was a little bit softer than it was. So a little bit of aluminum came off there. Aluminum's real soft. That's why you always want to be careful, pay attention to how much metal's being removed. So didn't want any of that flying around in the engine. Alright, so we laid out our silicone there. Put our bolts in. You want to start like, you know, get a couple started. And at like the kitty corner, the farthest away, just so things line up. Hold it in there. Now I don't have to fold it anymore. I find my tool. I got a billion tools out right now. It's going to be like a 5.5 or a 5. Huh. Alright, so I guess it's a 4. You want to tighten them up like a tire, basically, I guess. You want to go kitty corner and kind of triangulate it. That ensures that even pressure. You just want to snug them down. They ain't got to be cranked down hard or anything. It's real snug. Go all over them one more time. Make sure everything's snug. Alright, so we're good to go on that. Now, rear main. You want to be careful when you install this rear main. I'll tell you one thing only, and I'm going to tell you it once. Do not install any aftermarket rear main seal on a Subaru. First of all, well, they freaking leak. Every single aftermarket seal that I have put into a Subaru has leaked. You can call it bad luck, you can call it installer error, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I know by experience that installing an aftermarket rear main seal in Subarus, they freaking leak. I've maybe only got like one aftermarket rear main seal to hold up. I don't know why it is, but I am not pulling a freaking engine because I was too lazy not to spend the $12.50 at Subaru for a rear main. I can buy them at Subaru for $12.50, or I can get them from Napa for like $32 for a Velcro run. So I'd rather go OEM. I'm sorry, I don't feel like pulling a motor again. You might not be able to get it delivered like I can, but it's well worth it. OEM on the rear main. So what you want to do is put it in there and twist it around, make sure the lip seals or the lip jumps on there. You can kind of do that by twisting it around a little bit. They do make a tool for this. I just don't use it because I'm pretty proficient in putting these things in. Kind of good at it. It would help though. I would like a tool that I could use to put those things in a little bit better, but this will be just fine. So set it in there for a minute. Grab the hammer. What you're going to want to do is hold pressure around it like that. Kind of work your way around. Because it's going to want to jump out on you. It'll probably happen on me maybe, but nope, I think I got it. So just work your way around, keep applying pressure at different spots on it. You're going to want to always just work it around. Alright, once I got it in there, you're going to want to take like a small bolt or a socket or a punch with a flat head and drive it in there a little bit more. I'll use this junk extension right here. This will work for me.